When the mind is in panic, it races, leaping from thought to thought, tangled in worry, fear, and uncertainty. In such moments, the breath becomes shallow, rapid, or even forgotten. This is no coincidence. The breath and the mind are deeply connected. When one is disturbed, the other follows. Yet in this same connection lies the key to calming ourselves. If we cannot immediately quiet the mind, we can begin with the breath, because it is always with us, always here. Begin by simply noticing it. Do not try to control it at first. Just observe, are you breathing high in your chest? Is your breath tight or short? Panic often causes us to breathe in the upper part of the lungs, which signals the nervous system to stay in a heightened, alert state. By bringing attention to your breath without judgment, you begin the process of awareness. This attention shifts the focus away from racing thoughts and back to the body, where calm can be cultivated. Once awareness is present, guide the breath gently downward. Inhale slowly through the nose. Let the air travel down, filling the lower belly. Exhale softly through the mouth, letting go. No need for force, just steady, rhythmic breaths. Each breath should feel like a wave rising, falling, returning. With each full exhalation, the body begins to soften, the heartbeat slows, and the inner alarm that panic triggers begins to quiet. Breathing in this way, deep, slow, conscious, communicates directly with the parasympathetic nervous system, often called the rest and restore response. This system helps deactivate the body's panic mode and brings you back into balance. Unlike thinking, which can be clouded and chaotic in stressful moments, the breath is pure and honest. It speaks to the body in a language it understands, a language older than thought, deeper than emotion. This is why, in moments of panic, we return to the breath, not to escape, but to re-enter the moment with clarity. Panic pulls us into the future, into what-ifs and imagined disasters. The breath brings us back into the now. One breath, then another, like footsteps on a path back home. It is not complicated. It is simply forgotten. So in your most overwhelmed moments, remember, you do not need to understand the panic to calm it. You only need to breathe. When panic arises, the natural impulse is to push it away, to deny its presence or suppress it. We may say to ourselves, I shouldn't feel this way, or this has to stop. But the more we resist the feeling, the more power it gains. Resistance creates tension, and tension feeds panic. Like holding a beach ball underwater, the more pressure we apply to keep it submerged, the more forcefully it will rise when released. A more skillful approach is to acknowledge what is happening, not with fear, but with gentle awareness. Acknowledgement begins by naming the experience clearly and honestly. You might say inwardly, this is panic, or I am feeling overwhelmed right now. This act of recognition might seem small, but it creates space between you and the emotion. It transforms panic from an uncontrollable force into a known visitor. You are no longer drowning in it. You are observing it. The experience becomes something you are having, not something you are. This subtle shift marks the beginning of self-mastery. There is a quiet strength in accepting what is real. To acknowledge panic is not weakness, it is presence. It says, I am aware of what's happening in me. With this awareness, judgment begins to dissolve. You no longer label the panic as bad or wrong. You simply witness it, the same way you would observe clouds passing in the sky. Some clouds are heavy, some light, but none stay forever. In the same way, your emotional state is transient. and by acknowledging it, you allow it to move. In this space of recognition, something important begins to unfold. The panic is no longer defining you. It becomes a wave in the ocean, not the ocean itself. You realize that your awareness, the one noticing this feeling, is far more stable and vast than the panic itself. The act of acknowledging is like stepping out of the storm for a moment and watching it from shelter. You feel the wind, you hear the thunder, but you are no longer being blown away. It is important to understand that acknowledgement does not mean indulgence. You are not feeding the panic, nor are you surrendering to it helplessly. You are choosing to see it fully without reacting blindly. This still, courageous seeing is a powerful form of inner discipline. It's a training of the heart and mind to stay present with whatever arises. And over time, this practice makes panic less terrifying because you have learned not to run, not to fight, but simply to meet it with your full attention. When panic strikes, the body often mirrors the inner unrest. We may pace, fidget, shake, or feel an uncontrollable urge to move. The external motion reflects the storm within. In such moments, it is wise to pause, not to freeze from fear, but to intentionally choose stillness. A single moment of physical stillness can send a powerful message to the nervous system. There is no threat right now. I am safe to be still. That stillness becomes an anchor in a sea of turbulence. To find this point of stillness, begin by grounding your body. Sit or stand upright, feet placed flat against the ground, spine gently tall, shoulders soft. Allow your hands to rest naturally, in your lap, at your sides, wherever they are most at peace. This is not forced rigidity. It is alert, relaxed presence. Let your body become like a mountain, stable, quiet, unmoving, even if the mind is not yet calm. The body leads, the mind will follow. Stillness is not simply the absence of motion, it is the presence of intentional awareness. In this posture, bring your attention inward. Notice the sensations in your body, your breath, your heartbeat, the feeling of clothing on your skin. Let yourself settle into this position as if you are planting a flag in the present moment. No need to do anything. Simply be here, still. Even a single minute in this state can interrupt the cycle of panic, offering the mind a pause, a moment to reorient. What this practice cultivates is trust. Trust in the ground beneath you, trust in the body's ability to hold you, and trust in the moment itself. While panic demands urgency and compels us to escape, stillness teaches that we do not always need to flee. We can remain. We can sit with what is, even when it feels uncomfortable. And this realization, practiced again and again, becomes a quiet form of resilience. It tells your system, I have the ability to stay. The more often you return to stillness, especially in moments of distress, the more familiar it becomes. Over time, your body remembers it. It becomes a refuge, not just in panic, but in everyday life, a place of clarity amidst noise, a calm center in motion. Stillness does not mean you are passive. In truth, it is a choice full of presence and power, the choice to stop reacting and instead simply be. When the mind is in panic, it becomes scattered, pulled in many directions at once. Thoughts race ahead, jump backward, multiply, distort. In such a moment, trying to calm the mind directly can feel like trying to catch smoke with your hands. Instead of struggling to stop the thoughts, you can gently redirect your awareness. One effective way to do this is by focusing your attention on a single sense, narrowing the field of awareness to create stability, like using a single thread to draw the mind back from its unraveling. Begin by choosing one of your 5 senses, whichever feels most accessible in the moment. It could be the sense of touch. Feel the ground under your feet, the texture of your clothing, the temperature of the air on your skin. Or perhaps it is sound. Notice the hum of a fan, the rustle of leaves, or the rhythm of your own breath. By placing full attention on one sensory experience, you quiet the mental noise. You don't need to understand what's happening in your mind. You only need to feel what's happening through your body. This kind of focused sensing is different from distraction. You are not trying to escape what you feel emotionally. You are trying to contain it. The nervous system responds well to grounding input. When you give your brain clear, stable information from a single sensory channel, it begins to de-escalate its emergency signals. The chaos inside begins to organize itself around something steady. In that space, the sense of panic no longer dominates all of your awareness. It becomes only one part of the experience, not the whole. If you feel safe to do so, you can even describe the sensory experience to yourself silently. I feel the cool floor beneath my feet. I hear the ticking of the clock. I notice the gentle pressure of my hands resting on my lap. This narration roots your awareness in the physical world, a world that is still here, still steady, even while panic tries to convince you otherwise. Focusing on one sense draws you out of imagination and back into reality, the present moment where calm can be rebuilt. In time, you may notice that your breath begins to deepen, your shoulders begin to lower, and your thoughts become less loud, all from the simple act of focusing, not on solving or analyzing, but on sensing. Panic often lives in the abstract, in imagined futures and exaggerated outcomes. Sensory awareness lives in the concrete, in the now, and every moment spent in that awareness is a moment spent reclaiming your calm. In moments of panic, the mind often spirals into chaotic stories. I can't handle this. Something is wrong. Or this will never stop. These thoughts arise automatically, feeding the fire of fear and amplifying emotional distress. But just as the mind can speak the language of fear, it can also be guided into calm through intentional language. A grounding mantra, a short, steady phrase, serves as a verbal anchor, a rope you can hold onto when everything feels like it's slipping away. A grounding mantra is not meant to be clever or poetic. It is meant to be true, simple, and reliable. Words like, I am safe, or this will pass, or breathe and return, carry weight not because they are magic, but because they remind the nervous system of what is real. When repeated slowly and rhythmically, a mantra creates structure within the mind. It replaces frantic internal dialogue with something steady and supportive. A rhythm that speaks not to panic, but to presence. As you repeat your chosen mantra, link it with your breath. On the inhale, say the first part silently in your mind, I am. And on the exhale, safe. Or breathe in, let go. This simple pairing of breath and word brings the body and mind into harmony. It is not about convincing yourself of something you don't believe. It is about offering the mind a lifeline, a quiet, steady voice amid the internal storm. Even if the body still feels tense, this repetition creates an inner space where calm can begin to grow. Over time, the mantra becomes familiar. Like a hand reaching out in the dark, it becomes something you can turn to again and again. And the more often you return to it, the more trust you build, not just in the words, but in yourself. The mantra is not a shield that blocks out fear. It is a lantern that helps you see your way through it. In repetition, there is rhythm. In rhythm, there is balance. And in balance, the panic begins to dissolve. You may choose one mantra to use always or let it change depending on the moment. What matters most is that the words feel genuine to you, that they come from a place of care, not force. You are not demanding that panic go away. You are simply returning again and again to something still, something steady. Like a drumbeat in the background of chaos, your mantra reminds you you are not lost. You are right here. In a moment of panic, the eyes often reflect the mind, darting quickly, scanning the environment, searching for danger that may not even be there. Vision becomes narrow, sharp, and filled with tension. This is a natural response, part of the body's ancient survival system. But it also means that when we are overwhelmed, our eyes may unintentionally contribute to our sense of instability. Learning to use our gaze intentionally, gently, with awareness, can begin to soothe the nervous system and bring us back into balance. One simple, yet powerful, practice is to rest your gaze on something neutral or natural. It could be a leaf outside the window, the texture of a wall, a quiet corner of the room, or the flicker of light on a surface. Nature is particularly helpful because it does not demand anything from us. A tree doesn't ask you to perform. A cloud doesn't argue. A stone doesn't hurry. Their stillness speaks to something deep within us, a reminder that the world is not rushing and that we too can slow down. When you find this object or view, soften your eyes. Let your gaze rest, unfocused and gentle, as if you're looking through the object rather than directly at it. Do not analyze it. Do not label it. Just be with it. Let your eyes relax and your breath follow. The visual stillness begins to affect your internal rhythm. Slowly, your mind starts to match the pace of what it sees. Where the eyes go, the mind often follows. A calm gaze invites a calm mind. This technique is subtle but powerful because it invites you to co-regulate with your environment. Just as panic can escalate through stimulation, loud noises, bright lights, chaos, calm can be restored through still visuals and minimal input. You begin to realize that not everything around you is spinning. Some things are still, some things are quiet. And when you place your attention on those things, a quietness begins to rise in you as well. The more you practice this, that is the number R, the more instinctive it becomes. You'll begin to notice that even in unfamiliar or busy places, there is always something neutral to rest your gaze on. A window, a pattern, a beam of sunlight. You are not using your eyes to escape the moment, but to enter it differently. With gentleness, with intention, and without the agitation that panic brings. By choosing where and how you look, you take a small but powerful step toward reclaiming your inner peace. When a panic episode passes, there's often a strong temptation to move on quickly to avoid revisiting the discomfort. We may feel exhausted, embarrassed, or relieved, eager to forget the experience. But the moments after the storm hold a quiet doorway to wisdom. In this space, when the body has settled and the mind has softened, there is a rare opportunity to reflect with clarity, without judgment, and to deepen your inner discipline for the future. Rather than asking, "Why did this happen to me?" consider gently asking, "What did I notice?" Or, "What helped me come back?" The goal is not to dissect the experience or place blame, but to observe it like a student would observe a teacher. Panic is not the enemy. It is a signal, an invitation to pause, to tend to something inside that needs attention. When we reflect on it with curiosity instead of fear, it becomes a teacher of our limits, our habits, and also our strength. This is the time to reinforce the practices you used during the moment of panic. Did the breath help you? Did repeating a mantra bring steadiness? Did grounding your feet on the floor change your state? That is the number R. Repeating these actions when you are not in crisis strengthens the neural pathways that make them more accessible in future moments of distress. This is what it means to train not only in theory but in action. We prepare in the calm for the next wave, not out of fear but out of awareness. Consistent practice also helps you develop trust in yourself. When you take time to revisit the storm, not emotionally, but with presence, you begin to see your own resilience more clearly. You start to recognize that although the panic felt overwhelming, you were never truly powerless. You made it through. You breathed. You stayed. And now you are wiser for it. This growing sense of trust is not something you can rush. It is cultivated slowly, like strength developed through quiet repetition. Like a tree that grows deeper roots after each passing wind, your ability to remain grounded is strengthened every time you choose to reflect, learn, and return to your practice. This doesn't mean the panic will never return, but it means that if it does, you are not starting from zero. You are already walking a path, and every step, even the smallest one, shapes who you become when the storm comes again.